Hi, in this particular video we're looking at grade 3 unit conversions. That's grade 3 GCSE maths. It's the kind of questions where we've got kilometres per hour to metres per second, or millimetres cubed to centimetres cubed, that sort of thing. So please do stop the video, have a go at each of the questions, compare your solutions. I look forward to seeing you inside the video. Hi, in this video we're going to be looking at conversions and units. This is aimed at roughly about grade 3 GCSE. Please do stop the video, have a go at each of the questions and then compare your solutions. You can also go to the website 3minutemaths.co.uk and download this worksheet if you wanted to print it off. Okay, so number one, convert 1500 meters to kilometers. Well, what I'm going to do to work through these is I'm actually going to write out my kind of working. So I would say that that is the same as saying 1,000 meters equals 1 kilometer. Okay, so if I'm converting from meters to kilometers, this is the same as, well, 1,000 meters in 1 kilometer, so therefore it must be 1.5 kilometers, and that would be the answer to the first question. Okay, let's have a look at the next one. Convert 3,420 grams to kilograms. Well, I know that there are 1,000 grams equals 1 kilogram. Okay, so divide that by 1,000. I'm going to get 3.42 kilograms, and that would be the answer to that particular question. Okay, let's move on. So convert 0.56 kilograms to grams. Well, again, I'm going to write that I know 1,000 grams equals 1 kilogram. And sometimes I think it is worthwhile writing down the actual conversion itself, mainly because it will help you get additional marks. So if this particular question is 2 marks, then you'll get a mark at least for showing you working. Okay, so if I want to change 0.56 kilograms to grams, what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply that by 1,000. So to multiply it by 1,000, I've got 0.56 and I move the decimal point 3 times. Okay, so the answer to this question would be 560 grams. Okay, hopefully that's all right. Let's move on then. So convert 1,200 millimeters to centimeters. Well, what I do know is that there are 10 millimeters equals 1 centimeters. Okay, so if I divide this by 10, I'm going to get 12 centimeters, and that would be the answer to that question. Okay, so when it comes to a linear relationship where we're just talking about millimeters to centimeters or kilograms to grams, when it's a straight conversion, it's actually not too bad, providing you know these conversions. The part where it starts to get a little bit more tricky is where we're dealing with areas or volumes. So we're going to have a look at areas first, and it says change or convert 75 millimeters squared to centimeters squared. Okay, so let's think about what constitutes 1 centimeter squared. Well, that's going to be equal to 10 millimeter multiplied by 10 millimeters, because this is 1 centimeter, which is 10 millimeters, and this is 1 centimeter, which is 10 millimeters. So 1 times 1 is 1 centimeter squared, or 10 times 10 means that 1 centimeter squared is going to equal to 100 millimeters squared. And it's really important to get that in place, because then if we're converting 75 millimeters to centimeters, what we've actually done is we've multiplied that by 0.75. So 100 times 0.75 is 75 millimeter, or 75, yeah? So therefore, if we multiply this side by 0.75, what we end up with is 0.75 centimeters squared, and that's the answer to our particular question. Okay, so you might do things slightly differently. I've seen slightly different ways of doing this, but for me, this kind of works, and I'm going to be using it for the rest of the solutions, because effectively what we're doing is we're demonstrating that we understand this, and we also understand that the difference between this and this is that it's being multiplied by 0.75, and therefore we multiply that by 0.75 as well. Okay, so let's have a look at how that would work with the next one, where we've got 675 millimeters squared to centimeters squared. So it's a similar sort of idea. So again, let's have a look what constitutes a centimeter squared. It's going to be 10 millimeters multiplied by 10 millimeters. So as I did before, I can write on here that 1 centimeter squared equals 100 millimeters squared. Okay, exactly the same as did before. So if we're converting to 675 millimeters squared, then what we've done is we've multiplied that by 675. 6.75, I beg your pardon, 6.75. So 100 times 6.75 is 675 millimeters squared. So we're going to multiply this by 6.75. So we're going to get 6.75 centimeters squared. Okay, hopefully that's okay for you. It's a very similar principle. And we'll use it again with question number 7. So question number 7, we got 6.5 meters squared to centimeters squared. Well, let's have a look. What constitutes 1 meter squared? Well, effectively, it's 100 centimeters multiplied by 100 centimeters. So effectively, what I can say is that 1 meter squared equals 100 times 100. Well, 1 times 1 is 1, and then I've got 4 zeros. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4 centimeters squared. Okay, hopefully that's okay for you. And then what we're doing is we're saying, well, actually, I've got 6.5 meters squared. So what I've done is I've multiplied that by 6.5. So if I multiply the other side by 6.5, then what do I actually get out of it? Well, I get 65000 centimeters squared, and that's the answer to that particular question. Okay, hopefully this is okay for you. We are going through these fairly quickly, but please do add a comment below if you're not sure about anything. We're actually going to be doing 12 questions on this particular video, so hopefully it's okay for you. So let's move on then to question number 8. All right, question number 8 is going to follow roughly the same idea, but effectively now we've got centimeters cubed to deal with. Okay, so slightly different thing. What we're going to do is we're going to convert centimeters cubed to, in this particular first one, liters. Well, what I do know is that 1,000 centimeters cubed equals 1 liter. Okay, so if I know that to be true, then what I can actually say is that if I write it over here, 1,000 centimeters cubed equals 1 liter. Okay, well, if I've got 5,300 centimeters cubed, then what have I done? Well, I've multiplied this by 5.3. So therefore, I multiply the other side by 5.3, and I get 5.3 liters, and that would be the answer to that particular question. Okay, now let's move on to something that's a little bit harder than that, which is where we've actually got to change 25 centimeters cubed to millimeters cubed. Now, but I'm going to use the same principle. What I'm basically going to say is that, well, what do I know? 1 centimeter cubed is the same as saying a block which is 1 centimeter by 1 centimeter by 1 centimeter. Okay, so if it's converting to millimeters, it's going to be 10 millimeters by 10 millimeters by 10 millimeters. Okay, so what does that work out as? Well, if I look at this, it then says, well, I can do 1 centimeter cubed, and in millimeters cubed, it's 10 times 10 times 10. which is the same as saying 1 times 1 times 1, which is 1, and then I've got 3 noughts afterwards. Okay, and that's millimeters cubed. So 1 centimeter cubed equals 1,000 millimeters cubed. Okay, if I'm changing 25 centimeters cubed, well, what I've done is I've multiplied by 25, so I'm going to multiply the other side by 25. So what am I going to get? I'm going to get 25000 millimeters cubed, 25,000 millimeters cubed. Okay, so it is quite different to linear relationships, and it uses kind of the same principles as area, but this time you've got that kind of extra sort of dimension to it. Okay, so let's have a look at applying the same principle then to question number 10. So we're going to convert 4.5 meters cubed to centimeters cubed. Okay, well, what do I know about 1 meter cubed? Well, I know that it's a block. I know that there are 100 centimeters in a meter, so I've got 100 centimeters multiplied by 100 centimeters multiplied by 100 centimeters. So again, what can I write? Well, I can write that 1 meter cubed equals 100 times 100 times 100. Okay, well, 1 times 1 times 1 is 1, and then I've got 6 zeros. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it's the grand total of 1 million centimeters cubed. Okay, well, I've got 4.5 meters cubed. So I'm going to multiply that by 4.5. I get 4.5 meters cubed. Okay, I've got 1 million multiplied by 4.5 is going to be 4.5 million centimeters cubed, and that would be the answer to that particular question. Okay, so hopefully you get the idea that if you draw yourself a little sketch, it can be really helpful, and then make sure that you do these calculations accurately. Okay, and then I would just say, well, I'm multiplying by 4.5, so I'm going to multiply both sides by 4.5, and that will give me the answer to my particular question. Okay, let's move on then to just a couple of sort of questions that I've come across fairly recently. And it says convert 12 kilometers per hour to meters per second. Okay, so a little bit tricky to kind of work through, but let's give it a go. So if we've got 12 kilometers per hour, okay, well, actually, if we multiply that by 1,000, because there are 1,000 meters in a kilometer, we can say that's the same as saying 12,000 meters per hour. Okay, hopefully that's all right. Now, what I want to do is convert that to minutes. So I'm going to take it step by step. So I've got the meters sorted out. That's no problem. But now I've got seconds that I need to get to. Well, I've got hours here. So if I divide that by 60, what I'm going to get is going to be meters per minute, which actually works out as 200 meters per minute. Okay, and then because there's 60 seconds in a minute, if I divide that again by 60, at long last, that's going to give us meters per second. Okay, and 200 divided by 60, if you work that out either using a calculator or freehand, then that will give you 3.3 recurring meters per minute. Okay, hopefully that's okay for you. So again, we've got this very logical kind of approach to some of these things. All right, let's have a look then at number 12, which is going to be the last question in this particular section. So number 12, 22 /s is supposed to be, I'm so sorry, 22 meters per second. Okay, so we're actually going to go the other way. I'll correct that on the actual worksheet when I send the worksheet out. Okay, so 22 meters per second to kilometers per hour. Well, we're going to go the other way because effectively we've got to say, well, if we know 22 meters per second, if I multiply that by 60, that's going to give me meters per minute. So let's have a look at how we do that. We've got 1320 meters per minute. Okay, and that's because there are 60 seconds in 1 minute. So therefore I've multiplied it through by 60. Okay, now we've got that, let's have a look then at multiplying by a further 60. And if I do that, the reason I'm doing that is because I want to know how far I'm going to go in how many meters in 1 hour. And it works out at 79,200 meters in 1 hour. Okay, well, I'm fairly close now. I've got my hour. I'm okay with my hour. I just need to convert that to kilometers. Well, there are 1,000 meters in a kilometer. So if I divide that through by 1,000, I get 79.2 kilometers per hour, and that would be the answer to that particular question. Okay, 14 minutes into the video. My videos for 3-minute maths are getting longer and longer, aren't they? Okay, so hopefully that's been okay for you. Please do add a comment below if you're not sure about anything. I'll always come back to you, and I'll look forward to seeing you inside the next video.